So I looked at this phone in my video earlier, but I didn't realize that Samsung is actually the company that manufactured this demo slash prototype. So yes, at the CES event this year, Samsung displayed a showcase of a couple striking display ideas. One of them is the phone right here, which can go ahead and go 360 degrees. Now, I said in my video earlier how Samsung is rumored to have a very small hinge, almost as if no hinge, on their brand new Galaxy Z Fold 5. While I do not believe that that phone will go 360 degrees, and I believe it will still be a 180 degree phone, I think, again, like I said many times, Samsung could look toward a possible Microsoft Surface Duo concept as a second iteration of the foldable phone series. So there's been rumors, obviously nothing confirmed at this moment in time, that eventually Samsung would move on from the Galaxy S series and replace it like they did with the Note series, when they replaced the Note series with the Fold series. There is a possible rumor that they could replace the S series, which we all know the S23 is coming out, but they could replace the S series with another foldable phone series, which would have to be a little bit different, if we're being honest, than the Z Fold series, right? So it had to be a tad bit different. Well, this could be their difference maker. So instead of having a 180 degree phone, you have another type which is 360 degrees. And let's be honest, would be very interesting to see how this would go. Because yes, if you close it, you can close it with a typical cell phone. If you open it up, you can go 360 degrees. But the big problem here has to be there's no hinge. Now, the reason why that is a problem is because, let's say, for example, you are using a phone in what would be considered phone mode right here, right? How are you protecting this left-hand side? There's no hinge, right? So this is just screen. This is all screen. And if you've used a Z Fold 3 or Z Fold 4, you know how delicate that screen actually is. It's not a screen to play around with, not a screen to, anything possible you mess up, you could break that display so easily, right? So obviously, realistically, you would think whoever buys this phone, if they're going to put it in the pocket, they're going to put it with keys, whatever, that they would have it closed completely, right? Absolutely closed, no issue at all. That's not 100% guaranteed, man. That's not 100% guaranteed people will do that. And, if you're Samsung here, it's not really worth going ahead and putting that faith in your consumer base, who, if they will end up suing you if the phone breaks within, a couple weeks of it coming out. So that's definitely something to consider, is that I like the idea, and I think the prototype is really smart and cool, but you gotta remember why a lot of foldable phones in the past have failed. And this is because they have tried this 360 degree angle and it hasn't worked. The displays break after a couple weeks, after a month, because again, you gotta keep in mind, whenever you're selling a phone to any consumer base, you gotta remember, whenever you're selling a phone, period, you always gotta think of that consumer base as if they're children. Is what it is. When they say you're speaking to an audience, you have to speak as if every single person you're watching you is a 3-year-old child. Because at the end of the day, yes, you could say, well, why would I have to do that? I can treat them all like adults, right? I know who's my audience is. At the end of the day, you don't know who's coming in and buying it, or who is the new person in your audience. And they might not know anything about the subject you're talking about, right? So they might not know about foldable phones, and then they buy a foldable phone, and then guess what? It breaks after a couple weeks because they're like, wait, I thought I spent $1,800 on this phone. Why is it breaking? This is what happened with Z Fold 2 with the screen protector. People started peeling it off. It started breaking. And then there was a huge thing with Samsung about that. So if you're Samsung here, this is a slippery slope if you're going with a foldable phone this caliber of 360 degrees and having no hinge. You're really a slippery slope, and I hope they figure out a way to avoid this phone from breaking. But this might just be a typical prototype we see from Samsung, from a lot of companies that get posted at the CES Samsung events, or sorry, CES events in general, and it ends up never becoming a thing. But I think there is a market here for a 360-degree display that's very much looks like a Surface Duo 1 or 2. And, you know, we already have Oppo, right, with their 180-degree display phones that look a lot like the Surface Duo 1 and 2. But if Samsung can master this idea, master this concept, and put it in what looks like a Surface Duo 1 and 2, they could beat Microsoft to the punch and make a lot of money. They really could. Because I'll be honest with you, even if, let's say they go with this idea, right? This is why a lot of people do not like the Galaxy Z Fold series, is that the outside display is very tall and skinny. Now, I have no issue with it, but there's a lot of people who say this outside display is almost unusable. It's not anything. It's not special. It's not good, because this outside display, again, does have this factor of it's very tall and skinny. Now, if you make that smaller, not as much vertical, but more horizontal, like a Oppo Find 5G or a Oppo Find N2, you could make this phone a lot better, in my opinion. Make the outside display a little bit bigger, and if you go with the 360-degree design, if you figure out a way to perfect it and make it so it doesn't break, now you're talking about something special if you're Samsung. But I think this whole concept idea, because it's never truly been mastered, never truly been done to an extent that actually works, we're a bit of a distance away from getting to this feature. And this will be a first-gen product if it does get released, does come out. And I would say, if I'm a consumer here, I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it when it first came out. I wouldn't pre-order it. I would wait for 2 iterations to come out before I buy it. And that's just an honest, truthful response. I would not buy this if it came out. And that's going to really hurt Samsung. Because if they do this idea and they come out with this, with the lack of pre-order sales, lack of money funding it, it might not work out. And there might not be a second iteration. And it might just be a failed experiment. So, of course, they released this, they showed this off, but they need to figure something out when it comes to this idea. Because this is a good idea, but you have to figure out how that outside display works. Now, maybe what ends up happening here, right, is that the middle right down the middle where the crease is, maybe that's harder or more durable plastic, right? That when it folds, it is actually a lot better than it being just regular plastic or regular, foldable glass. Maybe that's the concept. Again, like I said, I don't know. Samsung has to figure this out because I'm not an engineer. I have not created these foldable phones, so I would not know, but there has to be something that kind of counters it and gives the consumer more protection, or else the consumer is not going to go for it. Absolutely not going for it. Guys, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.